You don't wake up to sunlight. You wake up to the sound of a man screaming your name. Not because you're a hero, because he's dying. The battlefield is still wrapped in morning mist, but the air already tastes metallic. You sit up on your cot, and for a brief moment, just one, you forget where you are. Then you smell it. Blood, wet earth, smoke. You remember. You are not the knight in polished armor. You are not the archer on the hill. You are the man 10 steps behind them, the battlefield surgeon, which is a polite way of saying, you are the butcher they call when things go wrong. Your tools sit beside you. A knife, a bone saw, a pair of crude metal forceps, an iron rod resting in yesterday's ashes, and a leather apron, stiff with dried blood. You wipe your hands on it. That is cleaning. There is no water nearby that isn't muddy. No soap. No understanding of invisible contamination. You know nothing of germs. You only know that some wounds rot, and some men never wake up. The first body of the day is carried in before the sun fully rises. He is conscious. That is the problem. An arrow has entered below his collarbone. The shaft trembles with each breath. He sees you and begins to cry. You crouch beside him. Hold him, you say. 2 soldiers ping his shoulders down. You don't dare pull the arrow straight out. War arrows are barbed. Pull the shaft, and the head stays buried. So you reach for your most delicate instrument, the arrow spoon, a long, thin metal scoop derived from techniques first written by Abu al-Qasim al-Zahrawi centuries ago. You slide it along the shaft, into his flesh. He is fully awake. There is no anesthesia. He bites down on leather. You feel the spoon meet resistance. You hook the arrowhead carefully, and you pull. He screams so loudly the tent canvas vibrates. The arrowhead emerges. Then the blood follows, bright, fast. You grab the iron from the fire pit. It's already glowing faintly from yesterday. You thrust it back into fresh coals. He sees it. His eyes widen in terror. You press it to the wound. The hiss is violent. The smell fills your lungs. Burned meat. It smells like supper. He goes limp. You don't know if he fainted or if you killed him. You wrap the wound in linen, soaked in wine. You whisper a prayer you barely believe in, and you move on, because there are 12 more waiting. The next one has a crushed foot, a mace struck through leather and bone. His toes are unrecognizable, blackening already. You know what that means. Gangrene. You don't know the word, but you know the look. You hesitate. Then you say it. It has to come off. He shakes his head violently. You consider the dwale, your sleeping potion, a mixture of opium, henbane, hemlock, lettuce, vinegar, and wine. It might knock him out. It might stop his breathing entirely. Hemlock killed philosophers, but without it, he will feel everything. You pour it down his throat. He coughs, swallows, waits. His eyes grow heavy. Good or bad? You don't know. You bind his thigh tightly. You cut the skin in a circle, peel it back, slice through muscle. Then you set the saw against bone. The sound is wrong. Grinding, wet, back and forth, back and forth. Halfway through, he wakes. The dwale wasn't enough. He screams like a slaughtered animal. You go faster. Assistants hold him down. The bone gives way. The foot falls. Blood surges. You press the iron to the stump. The smell is worse this time. He survives the table. That is all you can promise. 3 days later, he returns. The stump is swollen, hot. Yellow pus leaks from the edges. You smile faintly. Pus means the body is purging sickness. That's what you've been taught. You clean it with wine. You pack it with honey. That night, his jaw locks. His back arches. Spasms ripple through his body. He suffocates in front of you. You do not know the word tetanus. You only know he died shaking. You use the same saw the next morning because you don't know better. The battlefield itself is worse than the surgery. Bodies lie where they fell. Horses bloated. Men twisted unnaturally. Ravens arrive before burial. Dogs fight over scraps. The smell lingers for days. You work in open air. Mud up to your ankles. Flies crawl into open wounds as you stitch. You swat them away mid-cut. Your knife touches one man's blood, then another's. You wipe it on your apron. That is sterilization. You are spreading death with every incision. But you don't know it. By midday, they bring you a head wound. A mace crushed part of his skull. He is unconscious, breathing shallow. You've heard of trepanation, drilling into the skull to relieve pressure. You steady your hands. You scrape away bone, careful not to puncture the brain beneath. It takes time. Sweat runs into your eyes. You finish. You wait. Sometimes they wake. Sometimes they never do. You never know which it will be. You remember the story of a prince. In 1403, the young Henry V took an arrow to the face, 6 inches deep, near the brain. His surgeon, John Bradmore, worked for hours. He invented a device to widen the wound and remove the arrowhead carefully. He feared the spasm. Even he knew infection meant death. The prince survived. History remembers that miracle. History forgets the hundreds who died nameless in tents like yours. By evening, you stop feeling anything. The screaming becomes background noise. The smell becomes normal. Your hands move automatically. Cut, pull, burn, wrap. Hope. You eat beside the fire. The meat smells exactly like what you burned earlier. You stare at it longer than you should. You dream in fragments. Faces. Hands grabbing yours. Eyes wide with terror. A boy asking if he will ever run again. A knight thanking you while you remove his arm. You wake up before dawn because the screaming starts again. Days turning to weeks. Weeks into campaigns. You notice something inside you changing. You don't flinch anymore. You don't hesitate. You calculate who is worth the effort, who is beyond saving. You become efficient, detached, necessary. You are not praised. You are not celebrated. You are tolerated. Men spit near your tent. They call you butcher. Yet when their blood spills, they crawl to you. There are moments, rare ones, when someone survives. Months later, you see him walking with a wooden leg. You feel something like pride. Then, guilt. Because for everyone who walks again, 10 are buried. You begin to realize the truth. The battlefield surgeon is not fighting swords. He is fighting time, bleeding, shock, ignorance, and an enemy he cannot see. Infections take more men than arrows. You wash wounds with wine because you noticed it sometimes helps. You pack them with honey because it seems to slow rot. You think you are clever. You are guessing. Sometimes the guess works. Often it doesn't. You lose count of how many limbs you've removed. You lose count of how many men have died under your hands. You remember the first one clearly. You don't remember the 20th. That frightens you more than the blood. One night, a soldier grabs your wrist as he bleeds out. Am I going to die? You pause. For a moment, you want to tell the truth. Instead, you say, not today. He dies anyway. You begin to understand that hope is the cruelest tool you carry. You are close enough to save some, close enough to almost save others, close enough to watch them slip away. You are not a hero. You are not a villain. You are a man kneeling in mud, holding death back with a saw and a heated iron. The worst part is not the gore. It is the proximity. You are inches from survival, inches from failure. Every single day. Centuries later, people will romanticize medieval war. They will paint knights shining in golden light. They will write songs of courage. They will not smell what you smelled. They will not hear what you heard. They will not feel bone vibrate under a saw. They will not press red-hot iron to living flesh. They will not guess at dosages of poison and pray it causes sleep instead of death. They will not watch men rot from wounds you thought were healing. They will not lie awake remembering faces. They will not understand that sometimes the worst place on a battlefield wasn't at the front, it was 10 steps behind it, where a barber with a knife tried to turn chaos into survival, and lost more than he won, and still showed up the next morning, because if he didn't, no one would even try.